Peace, guys. Hope all is well with you. Wanted to do a video today on a topic that seems to have come back again. A lot of these type of topics, especially when how it concerns the Christian community, it's very frustrating to see. The topic that we'll be discussing is one about a particular rabbi. His name is Rabbi Shlomo Yehuda. He goes by the name the Yunaka, which is a term used in the Zohar about a child prodigy. The reason why this name kind of stuck with Rabbi Yehuda, Shlomo Yehuda, was because when he was just a child, he was like a genius, like a child genius, prodigy, something that you don't see very often. From a very early age, he began to learn the whole gamut of Torah, whether that had to do with the Chumash, the 5 books of Moses, or the prophets, Gemara, the Agadah, all these different topics of Torah. He would memorize the majority of it. I mean, that's in itself is crazy, as a young kid. And he knew it by heart. Wild stuff. And he began to give shirim, lectures to adult classes at the age of 14, something that you don't often see. There have been other such child prodigies in the past, but they're few and far between. The Vilna Gaon was said to be such. The Ari, the Kabbalist. Even Yeshua, right? If you read the Gospels, he was astounding the scholars at a very young age. This is something that happens. It happens here and there. He comes from his grandparents are from Yemen, so he's from a Sephardic descent, but I think he was born in Israel, and he lives in Israel. He's a young guy, young rabbi. He's I think like 32, 33 years old or something like that. Now, why are we even talking about this rabbi? There could be various reasons why we talk about him, good reasons, but I want to address something that the Christian community has done, and they do consistently. And because of a lack of understanding, no knowledge in areas of Torah, of Judaism, of Jews, of Jewish culture, of Jewish tradition, of the Jewish community, of Jewish faith and religion and practice, and all these things, because they lack any understanding in any of those areas. And also because the system of Christianity is, for lack of a better word, it's just whacked. It's stuck. The theology comes from ancient Roman times, because even the Protestants are plagued with this theology. Protestantism, mostly comes from the Reformers, Martin Luther being a Catholic monk, and for the most part, all the main tenets of the theology is still there. It's still there. Christianity was spread through a lot of fear mongering. Maybe not at first, but surely got there real quick. By force, using wisdom and understanding was not something that is pushed or the discussion. These things are a big deal in the atmosphere, environment that Yeshua and his apostles lived in. So the point of the video is that there are various videos on YouTube. If you type up Rav Shlomo Yehuda's name, the first things that will come up is all by Christians, maybe even some Messianics, with the whole thing. This is the false Messiah, or this is a false prophet, a demon. I've even heard that. All these horrible things. I mean, it's just wild. Horrible things said about this rabbi, who, from all I could see, and this is old. This just has resurfaced again, and so it's being passed around my Facebook friends and stuff like that. But this is old. This is like a year, maybe 2 years old, that Christians started coming out. Because what happens to Christians is that, like I said, they're unacquainted with anything Judaism. When they see a Jewish community or a bunch of Jewish people surrounding a rabbi, they think that this is the Antichrist. I mean, this is so wild. It's so crazy, and it's so frustrating, because they do not understand what a desecration of God's name they are committing. It's a horrible desecration of God's name. It is a horrible sin to do that. It is taught that the righteous in the Bible. This is in the Bible. And of course, many traditions, teachings of the rabbis is there too. But the names of the tzaddikim, of the righteous, are tied up with the name of the Holy One, blessed be He, of the God of Israel. And you, a person speaking out and speaking bad about such a person, it's literally speaking against the Creator, speaking against God. Because those people, the tzaddikim, unlike other people, their entire world and their entire life is revolved around God's will. Praying to Him, meditating on His will, meditating on His word, studying God's word, worshiping God, doing good deeds in the community, abroad, wherever, working on their character traits, trying to nullify their ego at every moment in order that they can become an empty vessel, so that God's light can shine through them. Things that Jesus did, things that the apostles taught. To call such a person the Antichrist, it's horrible. I mean, it's not a mistake. This is not a mistake. We're far past that. This is not a mistake. This is a horrible sin. And this is nothing new for Christianity to do, especially against the Jewish community. It's horrible. But these things that I've thought about it in the past, that, if the true Messiah were to come, I don't know if this guy is the Messiah or he will be the Messiah or anything like that. It's not about that, because I've made videos about this before, and I've stressed it, even concerning about Yeshua's Messianic candidacy. Even if you believe he's the Messiah, good for you. The Messiah is not someone who can just say he's Messiah. And this guy actually has never said he's the Messiah. This is the ignorance that comes from these people, from the Christian community and those individuals who have done such videos. He's never said he's the Messiah. He's a great Rav, a Talmid Chacham, a Torah scholar, right? But he's never said he's the Messiah. From everything I've seen of this man, some of his quick views of some of his speeches and some of his teachings, seems like a very humble guy, young, came from a poverty-stricken environment, grew up hard, seen his family struggle. And he seems to be a righteous man who fears God and loves God. The same thing would be done by such individuals against Moses. If Moses was here, how would they ever know it's Moses? If Elijah was here, they would do the same thing. You know why? Because he's not a Christian. He's not a Christian. Isaiah the prophet, Joshua, Moses' attendant, they would do the same thing to them. They would call them false deceivers and liars, and they'll quote the New Testament. I saw a post the other day, it was one quote after another being taken completely out of context and and said about this man. This is a horrible sin, guys. This is a horrible sin. It's a horrible sin against God. It's a horrible sin against this rabbi. It's a sin against Jesus, against anything he ever stood for, because that is not the proper context, and you don't know what you're talking about. I've also said this before, that if Yeshua were to return or were to appear, the Christian community would never know it's him. Listen to me, they would never know it's him, even if he used the same name, even if it was Yeshua. Even if it was Yeshua who dropped from the sky, even if he used clothes from the first century, he would not be accepted. The Christian community wouldn't know what the hell he would be talking about. He would be more than likely in Israel. Number one, he would be talking Hebrew. He would be in a synagogue. He would be davening. So the great majority of Christians would not know that Jesus came back, that Yeshua had come back. And if he made a splash once again, like he did in the first century, and people began to draw close to his Torah teachings because this is what he did, very, very similar to Rav Shlomo Yehuda, they were very connected in that sense, being child prodigies, being Torah scholars. People would draw near to them to hear the light, to see the light of God in them. What is the light of God in them? The Torah, the will of God in the vessel, and their understanding of God's will, and the wisdom with which they tell it, and how they teach, how to serve God, and about the redemption, and about practical matters, etc. This would draw crowds. Rav Shlomo Yehuda is not the first one to draw a crowd, folks. This is common. This is something common in the Jewish community. There have been many other rabbis who've commanded an audience, have gathered around them to see the light of the Torah in them. The Rambam, Rashi, not too long ago, Rav Yitzhak Kaduri, Rav Menachem Mendel Schneerson from Chabad, he was said to be the Messiah. He was also a tzaddik. It's not a sin if some disciples of a rabbi believe he's the Messiah, even if the rabbi himself believed he's the Messiah. That's not a sin. Now, if he's blatantly committing sins, like what's his name? I can't remember his name. I can't remember his name right now. Horrible. Maybe it's for a good reason. But if the individual was committing horrible sins in front of the community, and he was something public, then okay. I mean, that's different. We could see that this person is a deceiver. But if we don't have that information, and everything we see is the person is a saintly individual, then, I mean, come on, give me a break. Rav Yitzhak Ginsburg, another saintly individual, holy individual that I am very much acquainted with. I know a lot of his teachings. I have a lot of his books. I've listened and studied many of his lectures. Many people say great things about him too, and very much deserved. But this is horrible. The Christian community has to do better. I mean, individual Christians have to grow out of this system. Jesus was not a Christian. Jesus was a first century Jew within Torah Judaism. He wouldn't know what you're talking about. He wouldn't know what that false ideology is and belief of the rapture, or once saved, always saved, or saved by grace, not by works. He wouldn't know what that means. Christians don't know what that means. He never quoted the New Testament. Neither did the apostles. They only used the Tanakh and the traditions of Israel. I mean, I pray for the best for this Rav. May Hashem protect him and guard him and continue to to use him for His will. But yeah, that's kind of all I wanted to touch on that. And peace to you guys.